All right, so we could get started just going through the watch list. This watch list, like compared to last week there was a lot clearer direction. We were able to predict moves a lot better. And that's seen because we hit 11 out of 11 of the setups we pointed out on live in the market, and we hit those for somewhere like 3% moves. And then Neo was our big winner with like a 25% move or something ridiculous. But last week it was a lot easier because we had a lot more direction. Uncertainty was still there just because there's stimulus news, but uncertainty this week is at a much higher level because, again, Powell's speaking tomorrow at 8. That's already a lot more than we had last week. Also, Pelosi just put out the ultimatum that if they don't have a deal by Tuesday, it's going to have to wait till after election. And I'll come back to that when we're talking about broad market, but again, it's just another catalyst happening this week, along with, of course, everything else that's happening in politics with the election coming up. So ideally, as technical traders, we want to be in a market where we're dealing with no outside catalysts. It's a lot easier for us to make money that way. But this week being an earnings week, along with everything that's happening in the government, it's going to be pretty unavoidable. So just take that into consideration as we sort of go through this watch list and you sort of see setups that are there, but like still understand that any setup we point out this week just might get completely invalidated based off politics. So we're going to start with ABT. This was something we pointed out last week for this little run up and pop here. We have earnings coming up this week as well, and we popped back above this support even with the market failing at the close on Friday. We still popped back above support, above all major MAs. I think we see a nice little run up. Maybe if we break this high again, we'll see all-time highs before earnings. But I think at least this high here is a reasonable target around 111.50. So that's like a $2 move. Again, not huge, but we're trying to go off moves that have a higher degree of certainty, right? So moves are going to be smaller, but hey, whatever we can get, especially in this market. I do think ABT beats their earnings. They beat earnings almost every single time, though, so the fact that they are beating earnings is kind of expected. But you might see me enter a lotto for that when it comes up. Just, again, understand earnings plays super high risk, and I'm not expecting it to like be profitable at all. So when that comes down, I'll repeat that, but still something to keep in mind. ATVI, I've been charting this a couple times in technical analysis. I mean, we got this nice little wedge forming here. This 80.37 level is really what I'm looking at. As long as we could hold above this, we should be good. And then, yeah, if we go to our major MA screen again, if we could pop above the 50 here, we should see a nice little run up to this resistance all the way back from 2018. And then we could pop back up to these 2018 highs here. ATVI also has earnings coming up on the 29th, I believe. Yeah, 29th. And not only that, it's also coinciding with their sort of beta release of the new Call of Duty game. Was it Cold War or something? Yeah, Cold War. So I'm thinking they're going to release some sort of numbers to sort of talk about their beta, because I know they have Twitch streamers talking about that too, sponsorships. So I'm thinking they're going to release some sort of numbers, the same way they did last year, the same way Fortnite did it, the same way Apex did it. So that's a little bit more expected. But again, mainly going off the technicals here, really would like to see a pop above this 50. I'm in pretty deep in ATVI right now, but that doesn't mean you should be. Risk tolerances are different, and this is a play I sort of believe in, but when you sort of like look at a play often, you like a play so much, you could sort of be a little blind to the risks involved. And I'm fully, I'll tell anyone right now, I'm overextended in this stock right now. I'm very overextended in this. But I'm okay with that. And if it goes red, I'm okay with losing. So that's my decision. And you guys should sort of evaluate based on your own risk profiles. Next, we got Baidu. Massive break. We saw that huge candle. We've been waiting for this for like 3 weeks now. It was great to finally see it. I'm hoping at least some of you caught this, like even if it was just a day trade, completely fine. I'm hoping at least some of you caught this massive move that we've been waiting for a while now. Now we're printing a double inside while holding this breakout level here, this support level here, double inside day. If we break the range here, if we break the smaller range on this candle, we should see another shoot up to this candle, and then break this candle, shoot up to this candle. So again, we're really just looking to see a break here, but that's more of a swing play. That's going to be a little bit harder to take as a day trade. So again, I know buy to option premiums are a little bit higher, so take it to your own risk. We might take a spread on this as like an official alert just because I like it so much. But we'll see, I guess. I'm really just waiting for Monday's open, whether we gap up, gap down, any news from Powell. And then if we're waiting for Monday, we might as well wait for Tuesday if we get any stimulus news or not. Moving on, again, Doc U. This was another watch from last week. We're still just trading this range. I mainly just have this on here just because if you haven't gotten equity in this, now's a decent buy spot. It's not terrible. We still have this sort of trend line riding below. Here, I'll switch. We still have this trend line riding below. So if we come, we could retest this, push back up even higher. But again, that's an equity play, a little bit on the safer side when talking about like this market. Fastly, poor guidance gave us this massive gap down here. And to me, this is just an opportunity for us to buy this. We got ER coming up the 28th, it looks like, after market. And honestly, if we get even close to this 76 level, I'm going to absolutely load the boat on this stock. What they said about their guidance was basically just lower revenue predictions, but I don't think that affects the long term of the company that much. If you want to read through their call, I'm sure you could just Google it and find out what exactly changed. If you think different than me, by all means, let me know. I'd love to talk about that. But I still believe in this stock, and I'm fully okay with buying more shares if it gets lower. Next is Google. I guess I didn't chart this out. Anyway, looking for this as an earnings run up. If you just take the basic sort of wedge pattern here, you could see sort of building below here. We got a fib retracement here acting as support. I'm thinking, so if we go back to the end here, yeah, I'm thinking we see this blue line's the 8 EMA. I'm thinking we see that ramp up as Google sort of consolidates the next couple of days, and then we'll see a pop above, and then a quick run up, probably no more than 2 days into their ER date. And again, Google, I'm not going to be holding through ER. Too much going on with that stock, too much going on with that company, too hard to predict. Next is Neo. Probably not going to be playing this too much. This is probably more of an intraday look. Nothing on the chart either to really point out. It's just the momentum we're seeing. Neo really wants 30, so if we open a little bit lower, I might grab some contracts longer dated. I know they really want 30. I think the lowest price target for this stock from like a reputable source is like 35. So again, anything below that, if you want to pick up some shares, I'm okay with longing this company. Usually I don't really like EVs too much just because there's too much hype. There's too much like stock twits people around them. I'm sort of good with staying away. But this is one I believe in a little bit more. So I'm okay if you guys want to go long on this. Pins, this setup has not changed. I sold a portion of my position on this sort of candle here when we opened and then when we boosted up a little, but we hold our line here, we hold our MAs, nothing wrong with the position. It probably will see a little bit more consolidation, especially with broad market sort of, again, not being ideal. But I think Pin sees an absolutely filthy ER run up. So what I'm really going to be watching is this lower trend line here. If we come back to this lower trend line, I'm going to size up in the position pretty massively, just because, again, I think it's very, very likely that we see a nice run up into earnings, which, again, is at the end of the month. QQQ, I'm going to save for the end, along with SPY, just because I want to talk about broad market a little bit more. But spot, this is something, again, I charted in technical analysis. We got this nice little, I'll switch so it's easier to see. Nice little pattern here, even a lower support line. So I want to see this squeeze maybe for 1 or 2 days more, pop up, take this first, maybe some more consolidation up here, and then eventually take these levels up here. I don't really have a time frame for this one, but again, we got ER right here. It's much more likely that we'll see these larger moves. I'd be surprised if we see over 285 before ER. So just keep that in mind. And again, Spotify's chain is not the best. The premiums are kind of expensive, and the spreads are pretty big. So if you're not an experienced trader, I'd stay away from options on this one. Even spreads because slippage costs. So focus more on if you want to take this, you can take it as equity, but focus more on what's happening here. If you could tell what's happening here, it'll just make you a better trader in general. And again, with Tesla, pattern still holds, support still holds. Nothing really changing here. Got ER this week. I'll probably sell out of the spread that we have before ER, unless Uh, no, there's like 99% chance I sell out of the spread before ER, but I'm hoping we see at least like maybe one consolidation Monday, a bigger candle Tuesday, and yeah, we'll be out on Tuesday. Another stock I want to talk about is SE. I know Viral's in this, so I didn't put it on my list, but the setup's pretty nice. We got this daily sort of channel that's being built here, along with support up here, which is going off the previous highs. And then if we switch to the 30-minute, I wonder if this saved. I don't know if this saved or not. Change the drawing set. The hourly. Yep. Okay. And we have this nice little. I guess I need to go to the hourly. All right. And we have this nice little wedge forming here too. And again, holding the support's all that really matters. I'm gonna see a pop back above this line. And again, we could like sort of move this line a little bit more. Honestly, this should be moved. I think it got a little messed up when I converted from mobile. Yeah, so like that. So yeah, we did hold this bottom line. So that'll allow us to sort of move higher up. But again, broad market might affect it. Broad market just might make it tank down. And if that happens, I'm sort of looking at this like lower line here, this 160 level, sort of act as a support. And then another one, excuse me, another one we talked about. Actually, give me 1 second. All right. So another one we talked about a lot in chat and technical analysis was TSM. We got this nice little, I guess, wedge forming here called descending triangle, I guess is the proper name for it. We got this demand area here too, represented by this like box. I'm hoping to see a hold of this and then a pop above. And again, this line got messed up just because it's ported from mobile. So if we bring that out a little bit, we still have some more room here. I'd really like to see it pop back above after holding this demand area. If we lose here, levels below is like 85.7 and then way down here at 84.77. But honestly, if we lose this demand area, I don't really want to play the stock anyway, just because that's relative weakness. And the last one I wanted to talk about before getting into broad market was Nike. I want to talk about this just because I don't even think this is like inherently a good setup. Like it's there, we have this like line, support line below, trend line above. But really what I'm talking about here is like relative strength or weakness in the market. You'll see stocks increase with the market, and that's just them increasing with the market. But when you see a stock increase or just decrease less when the market's going down, anytime you see divergence, that's when you could sort of figure out what relative strength or relative weakness are. And this is kind of apparent in Nike. So this little downtrend here that we see from highs to sort of the support area down here, that coincides with SPY dying, like on Thursday. I mean, that sort of coincides with that. But really, what I'm looking at here is we broke higher highs 1, 2, 3 times, and then instantly got rejected and failed. Huge gap down, came back, saw some consolidation, failed again. So really what I'm seeing with Nike is just weakness all around. Even though this like setup is like usually inherently bullish, just the price action over the last like week or so is just like inherently weak for the stock. Like, and Nike doesn't move a lot. It's not really known for moving too much. Like it's been in this range for a minute now. So even if it was like a lot stronger, we still have to sort of consider what we're buying here. But just in general, Nike doesn't look the best in my opinion. Actually, there was one more I want to talk about. I want to talk about Ulta and the weekly chart. So we're seeing a weekly breakout here, and that's over the course of, this is from what, 2018? Yes, this is a break way back from 2018 that we're seeing. I'm thinking at least we see, was it like 260 at minimum? Yeah, minimum I think we see 260, and then like longer term 300, and then again higher. But this break's kind of a big deal. If you want to start building an equity position, I feel like that's pretty smart thing to do from, of course, a technical standpoint. And if you want to get more into like the fundamentals of Ulta, it's not really that complex. Like it's just a general retail store, so you should be able to understand it pretty easily. And that's all I wanted to talk about for individual names. If you guys have questions on that, again, I'll peep chat when I get a chance, but you could throw it in there. As far as broad market goes, let's take the Qs first. And let's put this back on the daily. We sort of came. Let's put this on the this one too. So we sort of came down. We lost our 4 SMA here, retested the 8 EMA, and again opened above, failed. That's just because Friday was weak though. Like this is a Friday, we could write off this fail. What happened here? Oh, wrong chart. All right. So we could write off this fail just off of the market weakness that we saw on Friday, because again, QQQ is just Nasdaq. So again, if we look at SPY, see the same sort of thing. Above the 4 SMA, failed. I think SPY. And just from last week, when we predicted that we'd revisit this level, we came back within about $1. I think it was a little bit over $1 of retesting that level. So again, that was pretty nice. We held the 50 though, came back down. I think SPY sees probably like 345. Actually, no, we filled this gap here. SPY is kind of in a indifferent spot right now, and I think that's mainly because the investors and even institutions, even retail investors, are sort of uncertain about what's happening with the stimulus and everything. So that sort of is reflected in the price action of SPY and sort of this consolidation period that we're going to be seeing, in my opinion, for at least the next week. Of course, this week's going to be affected a lot by what how ERs do. I mean, it's a really big week this week. If you haven't seen the list, I think it's just a little higher up in member chat. I think Bean sent it. But I definitely take a look, check your holdings. If you're holding anything long term, it's completely fine to hold through ER. Like it's fine. You're gonna have 4 ERs in a year. But if you're looking more short term, I'd definitely be more considerate about what positions you have going into this week. Because you also want to think about like if this company does well, even if you're not holding that company, what that might do to a different company or something. So again, we're seeing Tesla ER this week. That could affect NEO. So that sort of thing. You want to look for sort of synergies that might affect your positions. And again, kept it a little short today. I know a lot of people watching football, so I get if you guys like sort of need to go. But that's all I wanted to talk about. Again, I'll throw all these charts in technical analysis like always. And oh yeah, I wanted to talk about like one other thing. For like the next like 2 weeks ish, I'm not going to be as active in member chat. I'll still be active in signals. If anything, I might have a couple more. But if you need to reach me and I'm not in member chat, just shoot me a DM and I'll eventually get to it. But just through the day to day, I'm not going to be in member chat too much, just because I have some exams coming up, so I want to sort of be focusing on school. You chart Apple. I looked at Apple. I didn't see anything interesting, honestly. Again, we caught this break here, but we're just in this consolidation period. We even closed in this gap here. So anytime you're sort of in a gap, I don't really like playing it until there's more direction defined. And there's even no direction in the market, and Apple's pretty market dependent. So there's just too much uncertainty here for me to play it. Maybe if we come back down to the 50 here, if we touch the 50, I might be more inclined to sort of look at it for maybe even an ER run up, because again, ER at the month, but not my favorite right now. I see your message, Seth, but I'm also gonna talk about Facebook because someone DM'd me about it. We got this pattern here, former resistance turning into support. Again, we got resistance up here. We got this nice little wedge forming. We even held the support down here. But again, talking about the same thing we talked about Apple, I don't really like playing stocks that are heavily market dependent when the market is sort of at this point of uncertainty. So there's just too much news floating around right now for me to confidently play this. But this is like sort of on its own a bullish setup. We got the 50 SMA sort of. So I guess we failed the 50, but holding this support with support below, I feel like it's worth a hold down to the 20 here. This blue line, this is the 20. So if we hold down to here, maybe see a nice pop back up for this ER run because the 20 coincides with this sort of lower support line. So that's something to watch out there. But again, like none of these setups are inherently strong, which is why I don't really have them on the list. HD, yeah, we can look at that. So we saw the sick break, run up, holds the 50. This long wick here is just because of the weakness we saw on Friday. If anything, I do think we see it drop a bit more, maybe to this like 285 level. Not too much, but it definitely needs to cool off a bit. Maybe some consolidation even down to like the 284 level or the or the 13 EMA we have here. So again, nothing too drastic there. We even got support at 285, so I think that's likely. That'll coincide with the 8 EMA too, and that'll sort of let it cool off before it goes for another leg. But again, there's nothing here that I'm confident in playing. So, but if you are looking to play HG, that's sort of my thoughts on it.